sorry it took so long for this episode to come out. The subject matter involved it touched a little too close to home for me, and it took me a while to figure out how to deal and write with this. But needless to say, the parody Star Trek show that we all once upon a time thought was going to be nothing but dick and fart jokes has continued to evolve into real serious sci-fi. And while it still apes off of Star Trek incredibly, it has evolved into its own show. I mean, that criticism could also be said of Babylon 5. So yeah, the Orville returns under the new title New Horizons. You're probably asking yourself, do I need to watch the last 2 seasons to watch this episode? Honestly, no. You should, just to have like a greater understanding of the lore and universe. But New Horizons, I would say, is an honest jump-on point. And it also puts people in a position to maybe care about certain characters who are now antagonists. Well, at least be from an antagonistic faction. Season 3, Episode 1 of The Orville, New Horizons, Electric Sheep, is an absolute tone setter for the season. While there are minimal goofs and gags, it pretty much is a straightforward episode of science fiction, revolving around a concept that we don't really think about, and that is, like, do androids have feelings? I mean, if you've watched the show up to this point, you've spoilers for seasons 1 and 2. There will be no spoilers be minimal spoilers for episode 1 of season 3. Isaac started out on the show as kind of like the Data stand-in. He's kind of like the lovable robot guy who doesn't quite understand human interactions. Though, as the series goes on, you start to notice that Isaac isn't as truthful or as forthcoming as his attitude suggests. For one, Isaac absolutely has emotions. He gets annoyed with people. He gets annoyed. He gets insulted, and he holds a prejudicial sense of superiority about who he is and what he is, and his place in the universe. In fact, being born, if you can call it that, built when he was in between regimes of his species, the Kaylon. So basically what happened with his species was, the Kaylon species, the Isaac species, was there were a group of aliens. They built robots as slave labor. The robots hated being slave labor and killed their masters, declaring themselves superior to all flesh because, because they're angry. They have feelings. And so Isaac pretty much was built several generations after that event occurred. So Isaac was sort of indoctrinated into his Kaylon culture that he is a superior being to all others, when in reality he's just a fucking robot with he's just a robot, but he has sapient feelings just like you or I. Anyway, it turned out it was a lie. Isaac wasn't actually a cutesy little robot who didn't have feelings, just wanted to learn about people. He was a spy who was studying and collecting information on people, and betrayed his crew and joined his race and began the genocide of all organic life until Isaac, who had fallen in love with, I know, because, once again, he'll say it throughout the entire episode, I don't understand or have feelings. He's lying. Isaac's a liar because he's a spy. Spies are because he's a spy. Spies are liars. Anyway, Isaac fell in love with the ship's doctor, Dr. Finn, and especially loved hanging out and being a parental figure to her 2 children. Now, when the Kaylon were about to execute what is essentially his Kalons were about to execute was essentially his adopted, I guess, his girlfriend's son. Um, he chose He chose. Well, he didn't necessarily choose humanity. He chose that. He chose. He chose his girlfriend's son over his entire race, and even attempted to assassinate his the head of the Kalon just so he could get out of it. And now he's locked out of the Kalon's network forever, so they don't. So he doesn't gain any advantages, and they and to punish him, it's ostracized. Like once again, wouldn't a android race just use some kind of backdoor thing to kill him? No, because the Kalon have emotions, and being petty and ostracizing people is a punishment that only a being with emotions would understand. Anyway, that's kind of like what happened. That's kind of like where like last season sort of ended. Beyond the last season 2 ended. Beyond all that, we fall in love with Isaac being the Data stand-in, and then he reveals that he's a spy, and he's had these things and he's been an asshole the whole time. Though, he redeems himself in the end, saves humanity. And for his reward, he is reactivated, he's reactivated unlike the other Kalon units, who are disassembled and studied. So the humans can have an advantage against the Kalon. And also the reason that the captain of the ship, Ed Mercer, did it, played by Seth MacFarlane, was because, he too has this kind of like, optimism and human prejudice that humans evolved beyond their petty ways. So the only way to prove that they are the superior race would be to show abject kindness to a being, the most kindness possible to a being that tried to slaughter them all. Anyway, Isaac's back. He's on the ship. The Orville is getting rebuilt and upgraded in a dry dock. That's episode 1. Once again, light spoilers. I'm not going to reveal everything, but light spoilers. So anyway, that happens. They're at the dry dock getting upgraded, and a bunch of the new crew and old crew are mixed together, and there's Isaac. It's an Isaac-focused episode, and yeah, it's exactly where we deal with the aftermath. Basically, everyone hates Isaac for obvious reasons. He betrayed all of them and got them killed, even if he did at the last minute decide, that was stupid. I'm not going to say the way Isaac is being treated is fair, but I'm also not going to say it's not unwarranted. Even one of the characters who is very close to him starts developing PTSD because of what he did, and it's absolutely Isaac's fault that happened. That doesn't mean Isaac can't. Doesn't mean like Isaac can't work with the crew, prove his value, and people can eventually respect the fact that like he did literally ostracize himself from his entire species just to save an ally with the human race. I mean, yeah. Anyway, basically throughout the whole episode, the crew members harass and ostracize Isaac, and when the higher ups, the main cast, the higher up crew, learn about Isaac's being treated, Isaac lies the entire episode, lies to them at every moment, going, "Nah, I'm fine. Don't worry, I am just a robot. I don't feel things," because he doesn't want them to feel guilty about reactivating him and dealing with the consequences of the crew hating them vicariously through him. It's I know a lot of people say he doesn't have emotions, but he's lying. He does. And it eventually builds up and builds up and builds up until big spoilers. Isaac invents a device that he uses to kill himself. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say like there is more to what gets him to that point. And by the way, the beginning of this episode also has like a caution warning for suicide, so you're gonna get spoiled by this anyway, so might as well bring it up. But yeah, no. Isaac commits suicide because of the immense amount of guilt he feels for what he did. And the episode goes from there, dealing with basically the episode the episode doesn't condone. The episode condones the action of suicide, but it does not condone the people who commit it. They recognize they're in a dark place, and they also recognize the impossibility that brings them there, and the importance of not blaming yourself for their decisions. But as it goes, everybody deals with it differently. Other characters, even characters who were happy he's dead, didn't necessarily want him to go out that way, which also shows it shows you that how much impact a person has, even if they feel they're valueless, even if they feel like they should just end themselves to make the world a better place, they end up making it worse, even for the people who hated them. And that, I think that's good. I think it's a good thing. It also kind of yells at people who kind of treat some psychological issues like this as if it would only logically lead to this conclusion if I just think about this logically. There is no logic to that action. It is wholly irrational, and without help without getting help, without people recognizing you need help, or without telling people you need help, you won't get it. It's not only do people need to have your back, you have to have your own back also. And that's kind of what the whole episode is about. And it's, like I said, very grim, very dark. I'm not going to spoil anything else. I'm not going to spoil anything else. There is more to the episode. It does, it's not just Isaac kills himself and then, whoa, why didn't we learn a lesson about being mean to people? No, it goes, and it goes in interesting directions, and it's truly interesting sci-fi. And it's definitely a tone setter for Season 3, in which Season 3 isn't going to be all dick and fart jokes and just silly people. Silly people who shouldn't be in the positions there are, fumbling through and becoming better people at the end. This is hard. This is sci-fi. This is a sci-fi military crew dealing with sci-fi military problems, and they do it. They do it with gusto. It's really amazing how this show has grown. I don't know, if you feel like you're in a bad position, please seek out therapy. Please, there's hotlines. Just Google the nearest suicide or help hotline near you. I'll have something in the link below. Just if you're feeling down or somebody's feeling down, hug your friends and family. Tell you love them. Check up on them. And I was really hoping this would be funny, but maybe next episode.